This is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife biologist, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't
The
believe
other
Joey
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
play.
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant reptiles. And there's also, listen,
It doesn't make sense to me that a middle-aged woman could be dumb.
when you're worried about losing your job and you're worried about podcasts taking over and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us and he won, and this is fucking great, and Joe Rogan believes in dragons. It's just frantic.
Joe Rogan's $100 million lawsuit has not caused Sunny Hostin to raise an eyelid. Joe took the flamethrower to the courtroom roasting session, which is more than simply a legal struggle. Let's just say that the chaos started because of The View's frequent mouth openings. Joe is now opposed to the ongoing drama. Watch out, he's not behaving civilly. Grab a popcorn bag. This is just the beginning of this crazy court struggle.
So, apparently Joe Rogan has the most popular podcast on Spotify, and he's repeatedly spread COVID misinformation and invited guests on to do the
I
same.
agree that Joe Rogan is a horror.
I mean, I'm not saying that Joe Rogan should be removed from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners.
then
He's
what-
got a
what are you
$100 million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says,
That's
you know,
fine.
this is misinformation.
You are aware of the agreement till 2020. I do think that the podcast platform should be subject to some limitations, though. What if there was a disclaimer on his podcast acknowledging that you are aware that this information is incorrect? When Joe Rogan files a $100 million lawsuit, everything changes. It's not even the humorous part for whatever reason. The actual spectacle came before Rogan's verbal scorched earth campaign, which he launched from the comfort of his podcast studio. It lifted the spirits like amateur hour at a therapy session run by people who live off reading newspapers.
That's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But
We're checked by everybody.
yeah, I mean, if we're wrong, we have, the legal note here.
You been legal?
But we went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He
believes in dragons?
He believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that the dragons, like dinosaur-y type of animals, roam the earth when people.
Let's go back to the beginning of this train fire catastrophe. A pleasant little nest of outrage on daytime TV, where the coffee is lukewarm and the facts are optional. They thought it was time to poke the bear again because nuance dies in The View. This time, they specifically targeted Joe Rogan since he doesn't tolerate nonsense and has a fan base the size of many small countries.
I had to read the thing about The View because I just thought it was funny.
What's
That's
the
the
deal?
only reason why I read
Dragon.
that about me.
Dragon
the
lover.
The
All
radio,
right, tell me
Joey
what this is.
Behar was trying to say that I believe in dragons.
Wait, what is this? I
And
just
she
heard
said, I
about it.
checked it. I checked it. And then the lady goes, did you double check it? She goes, I checked it. He believes in dragons.
Should be like
You think they live
Sasquatch,
alongside
bitch.
the people?
Wait,
It was from a wildlife biologist who came on my podcast. It was from Forrest Gallant.
All of a sudden, Rogan's solicitors had a new reason to mark time on their calendars. The deadly choice to make an accusation that Rogan not only denied but also deemed legally actionable was made by Sunny Host, who was always eager to transform an uninformed viewpoint into broadcast gold. It would have been too altruistic for him to engage in direct combat with them. Joe Rogan did what he does best instead. He went back to his studio, leaned near the microphone, and put on his headphones to unwind.
Hey, Megan, I get it. I also hate Joy Behar. So, I don't love you, but I also hate that squawking bird. So, I hate the whole thing. And frankly, that show, you want to talk about a show that set women back, is The View. You want to talk about that show, if the CIA is engineering, Antifa and fucking the Capitol riot, some crazy misogynist engineered The View. Because there's nothing worse than The View. In terms of there are so many brilliant women out there. None of them are on The View. None of them have gone near the set of The View. I mean, they have brought in the lowest tier of the, what is it, the Y chromosome? No,
Double
the
X.
X. Okay.
Double X.
They brought in the lowest of the double X's for that one. It's rough.
Yeah, did you watch the episode where Tulsi Gabbard got on to defend herself? And Joy Behar starts panicking and going over her notes while Tulsi is refuting everything that she said.
Yeah, I mean, Joy Behar, like, again, these people have dementia. These are people who, like, should not be allowed out of the house. They have a national platform.
Joe Rogan destroyed The View rather than merely criticizing it. Without yelling, clapping, or feigned indignation, he destroyed their credibility in a caustic, caffeine-fueled tirade. During the legal tempest, Sonny remained silent, but Rogan brutally exposed their conceit. The hosts of The View, who haven't been silent since 1997, were taken aback. Just facts and a microphone, no showmanship or Emmy chasing. The legal action? A sobering $100 million warning. There are repercussions for spewing gibberish on national television.
Is that representative of a big constituency? I think probably yes.
Well, a lot of
MSNBC
people...
viewers are probably also thinking,
I don't
we
even
gotta-
think the MSNBC viewers. I think
that's
they're a
too
little
far.
bit more sophisticated than that.
Yeah.
This is like low information, blue no matter who, like older housewives who are mad at the world.
Hmm.
That's the appeal that Whoopi Goldberg has. Does Whoopi have children?
No idea.
It's interesting too, like really politically motivated older women who don't have children.
Yeah.
They're very specific. Like you can kind of guess the way they think.
The way Rogan's legal team presented their case was as accurate, acrimonious, and painful as a UFC combination. They claimed that The View's harsh and derogatory remarks had put Rogan's reputation and business relationships at danger. Rogan not only exposes your professional collapse, but he also calls you out when he thinks you've gone too far. The View is not prepared for that. One minute they are the focus of Rogan's global monologue, and the next they are speaking out. YouTubers made money, Reddit threads gained prominence, and Rogan memes went viral on Twitter. The next thing that arrived was the sound of quiet, the sound of PR terror behind closed doors.
Their audience is not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen audiences before for TV shows, but a lot of them are paid. They're paid to be there. So, because they have to guarantee that there's going to be people there. So there's services that you hire. And when the show gets really, really popular, you know, like Letterman or something like that, obviously it has its own fan base.
Right.
Those people will try to get tickets before anybody else does. And in that case, they probably don't need to use the service anymore. They just get actual fans. But arguably, like the fans, the real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point. Most of those people can't leave the house. Like, they're probably
Right.
Sonny Hostin, who is typically loud and unrepentant, is as quiet as a child caught stealing cookies. It was like watching a peacock lose its strutting abilities. Joe Rogan pointed out The View's declining credibility while skillfully stoking the rhetorical coals with every podcast episode. Millions of people were reminded by his simple realization that his impromptu insight is more compelling than the planned narratives of daytime television. Nothing was invented by him. The irony? The View's cast, adept at critiquing others, suddenly ran away when they became the center of attention. The lawsuit sparked a broader conversation about the boundaries of what constitutes slander. You don't have the power to manufacture reality and assert it as fact, as Rogan explained. At that point, The View's customary outrage subsided. No moral bluster, no heated debate, just silence.
Joe Rogan here. Did you see Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons, I guess? According to Joy Behar, he changed his X profile. Did you see this?
I did see that.
It now just simply says dragon believer. He had talked about dragons on the show. It's, you know, the thing of it is, you take anything out of context and you can make fun of it and mock it. And so, you know, let's do that. It goes without saying, Joe Rogan, how many times more intelligent do you think Joe Rogan is than Joy Behar? What
Infinite.
multiple?
Infinite.
If 6 times, 8 times, 12 times, 30, it's like a math problem you can't solve. You could fit 35 of Joy Behar's brains into Joe Rogan's cranium and he would lose IQ points. But people believe dumb shit.
Let's face it, The View's quiet following a $100 million lawsuit is a sign of capitulation rather than strategy. They've gone into full mime mode as Rogan unleashes a viral takedown. Every day they remain silent. His words get more powerful, his podcast snippets become more widely shared, and legal documents circulate like Drake tunes that have been pirated. This tirade would be hot if it were a Netflix special. Normally fast with smug interruptions, Sunny Hostin suddenly appears to have been gagged by ABC's legal team and is stuck with white noise and Oprah reruns. The View is chaotic TV masquerading as commentary, not thought leadership. And now, its own irrelevance is causing it to collapse.
In fairness, though, I mean, The View has to be, if you average out The View hosts, among the dumbest people on television. And it's like they say the thing that people are thinking, but they say it very directly, so they expose whatever truth. But
I don't think some of them are dumb.
you don't think so?
No, I don't think Sunny Hostin's
You think it's
dumb.
deliberate?
I think she's ideologically driven, and they have blinders on, for sure. I don't think Sunny's dumb. But Whoopi is certainly not the brightest person. And what she just said just doesn't make any sense. It's just like so silly to say. It's not a well thought out. It's like if you had an idea for a premise and it was totally baked, half baked, and you went on stage with it and it's nothing there.
With 11 million listeners every episode, Joe Rogan's show is more than just a well-liked podcast. The View is like yelling into a food court at a mall and hoping that only the carer hears. Rogan's multi-hour cerebral debates with neuroscientists, conspiracy theorists, and everyone else in between are too much for legacy media, which still uses dated sound bites and studio clapping. Rogan is cautioning the mainstream media, your time is up, and I've got receipts. But the problem extends beyond his reputation. Instead of repeating the host's outrage, they are searching for content.
Strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting because I think Sunny's very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
It's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones don't have to name any names, are just very dull-minded. But I think Sunny's not one of them. I think she's smart but captured.
Sure,
And,
I think she came into it with an agenda.
of course, they do everything with an agenda.
Yeah.
A cultural insult to The View, a program that purports to speak for liberals, all women, and anyone who has ever read a book from beginning to end. This catastrophe is more than simply a lawsuit. Instead of simply responding, Rogan launched a legal nuclear, provided a podcast rebuttal, and watched as The View collapsed like cyclone lawn chairs. The viewership of The View, which now seems to be a broadcast group chat where reason takes a nap, is dwarfed by the worldwide behemoth that is Rogan's podcast. It would be similar to comparing a Tesla to a tricycle with a wobbly wheel. The quiet of The View? Deafening.
It is the show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true.
They get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies-infested hen house.
Instead than merely applauding, Rogan's supporters use the internet as a weapon. Memes, comments, and clips quickly and violently evolved into digital justice. Rogan took down The View from a distance, like a podcast sniper, without ever having to sit across from them. Truth in a tank top, delivered with razor-sharp irony, was all he needed, no showmanship. The algorithm shouted as The View remained silent. Rogan has already won the culture war, demonstrating that words have power and that some are worth $100 million, regardless of whether it goes to trial or is settled quietly.
Do you have any trans women on it?
Great point. It has a lot of women that look trans, but none of them. It has a lot of second and third takes. After a drink, you go, huh? But it doesn't have a ton of.
However, Sunny might still be able to. Maybe she'll start next week with a fresh, sexier perspective on gravity or the conspiracy theory about astronomy that comes from the right. After all, the viewpoint feeds on change. In the meantime, she should study the fine print of her upcoming address, particularly the bit where the legal department warns her not to poke the bear with a Spotify contract and a gilded microphone. And Joe will continue to do what he does, which is to ask questions, laugh, and sometimes vaporize people with the verbal orbital strike of intellect. His podcast chair didn't give him any key cards. Lack of a filter.